Hey, my Legion, how y'all doing today? I'm here today to review Firehouse. Now, what happened is my one friend, subscriber, Christopher Sposa, has been really good at like putting like links to certain movies. Some I've seen, and some I haven't seen, and some are like real obscurities that are on YouTube that some I might never seen or I've never heard of before. And he usually puts like unusual stuff from like the early to late 80s, sometimes maybe 90s. But I mean, I remember they had a big glut of going to video rental place when I was in the military, especially. And they had a big glut of direct to video movies. So there's a lot of really unusual and especially comedies and stuff like that. Because I usually, when I go to the video store, I usually gravitate to the horror section. A lot of really unusual comedies I have not seen. And shares me a whole bunch of them. And one of them from I tried to watch Thursday night was The Underachievers, which was also known as Night School, not the horror film Night School with Amanda Pays. That's a different movie. But one in the late '80s, they had Vic Tayback in it, and he said another Vic Tayback classic because I'm a big Vic Tayback. And he shared the link with it. Started watching it, and I think Vic Tayback's only role was in the first 3 minutes, so I saw him. And like 20 minutes into the movie, it's a very, very bizarre film because it's like all these like convicts said you can either do this or you can go to night school, and they just let all these convicts loose in night school. It's a very weird movie. And like 20 minutes in, the audio drops out for like 2-3 minutes, and then when it comes back, the audio is so out of sync by like about 45 seconds it's unwatchable. So I was like, I'm sorry, but I'm not able to review this movie. And then he sent me a link to another movie I haven't reviewed yet. And then he sent me a link, I believe it was today or yesterday, for Firehouse. And sent me the IMDb page for that. I checked it out, and it said it was on YouTube and also it was on Amazon Prime. So I decided to watch it on Amazon on my Roku. And it got me in, and I saw it, Firehouse, and I saw and I clicked on it, and it was a different Firehouse. It wasn't the one from 1987. It was one from 1973 with Richard Roundtree and Richard Jakel in it. And this was a TV movie. I remember when I was in the Army renting, every so often they'd have like TV movies, some horror films and stuff like that. Or whenever I got out of the Army, every so often like buying like the dollar public domain. Sometimes they're old TV movies, and usually they're like about 73 minutes, 75 minutes, the older one. And some of the newer ones are maybe up to 90 minutes, but it used to be like 73, 75 minutes between that time frame. And this was 73 minutes, so I guessed it was a TV movie, but I wasn't sure because Richard Roundtree and Richard Jakel, big names. So my dad's a big fan of Richard Jakel when he was still alive, but he hated the shark movie Richard Jakel did, Jaws of Death, which was changed to Mako Jaws of Death or something like that. But it was Jaws of Death when it came out, and I love that movie. And that was about the shark that he had like a telepathic link to. That was a great movie. Well, anyways, this one starts off. A bunch of arsons happen, and there's like this firehouse and trying to fight these things. And Richard Roundtree, I mean, after like the first 5-10 minutes or something like that, Richard Roundtree ends up. It's his first day at the job, going to this fireplace, and there's lots of tension, racial tension, because he's the only black guy there, and it's it's tough to describe it, especially on a YouTube channel about it, but I mean, there's no easy answers on either side, white or black. Well, it's a fascinating movie, and there's more than just that. I mean, the print is kind of old and washed out, at least the one I saw on Amazon Prime, but it gives it like a home movie type feel to it. It looks very realistic. And I know some of the firefighting scenes were probably stock footage that they put in there, but I mean, as washed out as the print looks, because a lot of those TV prints. Well, I remember renting like Home for the Holidays or like Trilogy of Terror, and then buying Maze of the Monsters, the Tom Hanks thing that he did, a Dungeons and Dragons. I think it was like his first serious role I've ever seen, where he where he thinks it's a real game. You know, I mean, where he thinks it's reality. Uh, and this movie is really fascinating. Like you said, it's more than just the tension between the people in the firehouse. It's more than that. The arsonist and some other stuff. It's a fascinating character study. I really love this a lot. It moves along really well, and it's always interesting. And there's no easy answers in this movie. It's great. And I mean, it was a mistake because it had the same photo as the other Firehouse from IMDb, so I thought it was a movie. But I mean, because of that, I actually found out about this movie. So thank you very much. I guess a 10 out of 10 if you get a chance. I guess it's on YouTube too. The version on Amazon Prime had like about seemed like it had like a missed about like 15-20 seconds. There's a 74-minute version on YouTube. That's the one to see if you get a chance to see it. Look up Firehouse 1973, I believe. And with these Firehouse movies, it got me in the mood to hear the song Firehouse from Kiss, an early Kiss song. And I love that song too. That's one of the fun Kiss songs. Yeah, back when they were really on top. And that's a 10 out of 10 right there. Now, the other Firehouse movie that he told me about was he said it was a good, bad film. And it revolves around this firehouse that is going to have female recruits. And they call the recruits probies. If you ever saw the movie, the TV show Rescue Me, you know, you have the probie thing. But they let that go for a long time. I think the probie thing in this was maybe like a month or so like that. But I mean, they let this probie thing go forever. Torture this poor guy, and you know, and he gets all the grunt work, the crappy jobs and stuff like that, and he gets treated on the lowest rung of the ladder. And after he passes his dues, he's like a regular guy accepted, or girl accepted. And in this movie, whenever the women come in, they said that they were supposed to treat them like crap, so they'll quit or something like that. And this is like Engine House 1, and they're supposed to be like the worst engine house in the city or something like that, and they act like a bunch of goofs, but not in a funny way, you know. And they have like this, they have an arsonist again in this one, and then there's like an evil developer who wants to set the city on fire, and they have like a little miniature set, and they show like these big buildings rising up. I like that. I thought it was a neat effect. The movie itself, like I said, is very bizarre. It seemed like it doesn't exist in our universe. It's like so unusual. It's not funny. I mean, there's a scene with a stand-up comedian in there that's pretty much like, oh, this guy sucks. You know what I mean? That's kind of like this comedy movie. It's not funny at all. The only thing that really saves is nudity. The nudity is pretty good in it. Because usually, I mean, on IMDb, Firehouse gets a 3.1 on IMDb. I probably give it 2.5, but because of nudity, I give it 5 out of 10. It's also worth noting that, so I give a 5 out of 10 for Firehouse. It's also worth noting that Julia Roberts is in the movie and in an uncredited role, and I guess that's the first role she ever had in a movie. Now, before that, let me go check IMDb so I get it right. Click on her photo. IMDb's helping me out. Oh, it's way down here. She was in a lot of stuff. But before that, she was in a TV show called Crime Story, and then she was in Firehouse as a character called Babs. And then I remember she was in a movie called Satisfaction, and that starred Justine Bateman, and that played. I know about that. I never saw it, but I know about that because when I was in Fort Gordon, Georgia, they'd have like a big the movie house, and they'd have like movie posters of upcoming movies playing. Because usually in the Army, a movie would usually play. Sometimes it might only play one day, and New Orleans might play 2 days. If it's real popular, it'd play 3 days, you know. I don't know who picks that out. And there are certain movies that would play, like, in one afternoon, like Howling 3. Believe it or not, I saw it at the theater. That played for, like, a day. But, I mean, they had Satisfaction played there. I just remember seeing the movie poster, and Justine Bateman was still really popular. You don't see her anymore, but she was still on Family Ties and stuff. I don't know if that was the first movie she ever started that was on in the theaters. She was in TV movies before. I never saw that, but I knew Julia Roberts was in that. Then Julia Roberts, before she got really famous, she was in some TV movies, and Miami Vice, and then she was in a movie called Mystic Pizza, which I never seen. And she started to get popular. And then she was in a movie Pretty Woman. Well, I heard a lot of buzz about that when I was in Germany. I never saw it. And then when I was in Fort Bragg, I saw it all over the place on video cassette. They had that, and they had a whole bunch of copies of Teenage Mutant Ninja. I ended up buying Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I didn't buy that movie. And then later on, in '91, when I was in Fort Detrick, Maryland, I saw 3 of her movies. I saw Pretty Woman, Flatliners, and Sleeping with the Enemy. And right around that time, she was in that movie that really flopped, that Dying Young. It seemed like it was too much of a bummer, and people didn't want to see it. But, I mean, it was kind of neat. I didn't know that was her first movie, but uncredited, though, you know. But like I said, Richard Roundtree Firehouse is fantastic. The other one, not so much, except for nudity. But I wanted to thank you, Christopher Spose, for letting me know about. I mean, that was a complete accident. I found out about the other movie, and I shared it with a friend of mine, and I hope she likes it too. The Firehouse with Richard Roundtree. So I wanted to thank you, buddy. And you shared with me another movie. I haven't seen that yet or reviewed it yet, but I plan on doing it sometime. So I hope you like this video, buddy. Video, Christopher, and everyone else like this. I'm going to call it like a tale of 2 firehouses or something like that. So I hope you like this movie review. Until next time, everybody, please. Allegiance.